taking that all into account and what I'm seeing on chain, I don't think we're going to have like what we see these normal 4-year cycles again. I think I'm calling this the last cycle, and people think that's very somber and bearish, but no, I mean, like, this thing does a drunk walk of ups and downs, trending upwards as it finds its, you know, adoption for indefinite amounts of time. These 4-year cycles are gone. That's what I think might be happening, which is, I think, is a big revelation, because that's against the expectation of what the majority think. So we'll see if that plays out.
Well, so what does that mean for the price? Because I've seen videos where before you were predicting like 300,000 to 400,000 per coin by December 2021. I think then you corrected it to 200,000. So now what's your prediction?
Well, I don't actually make predictions. Everyone says I'm predicting this and that. All I'm doing is reading the value of a particular model that I have that continually tracks the price over its entire history.
Yeah.
And that model gives you an upper bound of where price can go. And every past top of a bull market has hit that upper bound and dropped. So if you assume that we hit, you get a top of the market in a cycle, you know, it was like between 300 and 400,000 was the projected upper band for December, and that keeps changing because as we get closer, we get more price information. And now it's like, I haven't looked recently, but I think it's around 200,000 is where it might be the upper bound. But if you take into the context of this other on-chain data we have, it means that we're not going to have a market top, like a traditional cyclic market top, where everything goes into a mania phase and everything runs up, and then we have a blow off top and we come back down. We have this drunken walk. It's like the S&P 500. It just keeps wandering upwards.
Yeah.
So it can be in the midline. And so the price could be anything between two models that I have, if they hold. Models are models, they sometimes break. So the upper bound is like 200,000 plus, right? And then there's the lower bound, which is, you know, I think it's below the current price by significant amounts.
Wow.
But like the answer to this is that it means that let's not look at the upper bound anymore. Like, we're looking at the wrong thing. Everyone asked that question because at the end of this year is the expectation that's the top of this bull market and the end of this bullish cycle. If you remove the idea that we're going to have an end of this bull market like all the other cycles, and we do this drunken wander, then this model doesn't really matter too much. And the idea of what is our price end of this year doesn't matter too much, because people basically want to know when are they going to sell their coins and go to cash and wait out another year till this thing bottoms. And it's just interesting. It just means maybe you shouldn't be selling. Maybe like we should be like equity investors who just invest and wait for this thing to keep going up without trying to time this market. You know, it's obviously worth timing the market if you're going to lose 80% of your value over the next year. But, you know, we've just seen a pullback of, you know, 50% pullback, and then it's recovered over 2 months. Like I can see a lot of these things happening, but that's not a bear market for Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. You know, the bear market for Bitcoin is 80% and 6 to 12 months. So
what do you mean by last cycle? I mean, that sounds like so doomsday. What does that mean?
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's the last of the 4-year cycles. It's the last of this, like, if you look at the price chart over 12 years, we've had 3 prior cycles, and every one of those, it's done a huge run up, it's done a huge pullback, but retains most of its gain from the last cycle. And then it's done it again and again. You know, the last one we went from below 200 or like 150 was the bottom, and it went to $20,000, and then it pulled back from $20,000. Imagine investing $20,000 and then like you come back to at the end of the year and it's like $3,200. Like that was the last cycle. That was the previous cycle. And the ones before that was more carnage. And we waited like a year for that to you know, purge itself. And I'm just saying that kind of experience is likely to not happen again if what I'm seeing plays out. And we just, yeah, so if we were to look back in like 10, 20 years time and we look at the price chart of Bitcoin, we go, look, there's three cycles, whoop, down, and then on the fourth time, it doesn't do that pattern, and it becomes like this drunken wander of price discovery as it finds its fair value as Bitcoin, you know, spreads to 1 billion people or more, which is actually projected to do in the next 4 years.